today is on how to care for yourself, your team and your clients, which I think we all need at the moment. And the session is supported by HJ and Wella Professionals Time to Care initiative. Do check out in the comments Wella's website, education.wella.com, for more information. And on HJ's website this week, we've got lots of content on how you can care for yourself, your clients and your team during this time. But also once everything goes back to normal as well. And I'm very pleased to say that we have got the amazing Jordanna Cobella with us today, who's the Wella Hair UK guest artist and creative director at Cobella. So hello there, Jordanna. How are you?
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing well, thank you. It's lovely to be here to kickstart the week of Mental Health Awareness Week off with a little insight into the Mindfulness Hairdresser course that I'll be running for Wella. It's a course that will be touring the UK, so all of the Wella studios in the UK. And I'm super excited because I think it is a real first of its kind and nothing like this has been done before. But I think there's a real need for something like this.
Do you want to maybe tell us a little bit about why it's so important for you to be caring for yourself and your team and your clients?
Yeah, of course. So I think as hairdressers, we're all really good at, perfecting our skills and, looking for further education. We're very good at investing in education for ourselves, finding out new techniques, be it colour formulas or cutting techniques. But one thing that we don't always shed light on or tune in on is what I would say constitutes 50% of our makeup at work, which is the non-verbal or the emotional connection that we have with our clients and all the psychological skills that we all have and emotional intelligence that we all have to be able to communicate with our clients, consult with all our different clients, and also to communicate between us. Now, we all know that hairdressers are a creative bunch. We're not the most corporate people. We can be very informal. And I think with that in mind, we have a lot of skills that we already use and we already fine tune and harbour, but we don't necessarily educate ourselves on or perfect those skills. Some people have it more naturally than others. The best way for me to describe it is to tell you a bit of a story. So when I was at Cobella in Kensington, in Selfridges, we met a lot of characters, and as you can imagine, it was a big salon, 60 members of staff. People were coming and going quite a bit because of the long hours. It was a bit of a nightmare. So we met a lot of amazing and wonderful hairdressers, and over time, it became really clear to me that there were quite a few different types of hairdressers, but I could always fit them into a similar sort of box.
Yeah.
So there's one type that are super amazingly talented at precision work, really precise at what they do, and physically amazing at their skill and technical. But I would always notice that specifically in the younger generation, that because they didn't have that experience on the shop floor so much, they would really struggle to actually connect with clients. And I would feel really sorry for them because it was just like a never-ending struggle to get fully booked. And then you have the other sort of hairdresser that is creatively a little bit more freehand and a little bit more, not so regimented with their technical skill, and maybe not always 100% perfect with technical skill and ability, but they connected with the client so beautifully and they made that client feel like there is no other person in the world that could do their hair better than this person. And I think they connected on an emotional level more so than a physical level, because those clients felt like, I've got to book in, and they're like literally felt like there's no one else that could do their hair. And I would always admire those people because they had a skill that came naturally to them. But what I wanted to know is, can we use what they're doing, that skill, and try and teach it to people who it doesn't come naturally to? Because as hairdressers, yes, you can say that, you attract a certain type of client. So if you're bubbly, you'd attract a really bubbly client. If you're a bit more shy and introvert, would you attract more of an introvert client? But my advice is, as a hairdresser, you have to be able to appeal to everyone.
Yeah.
And that can be training, can't
and
it?
from your personal perspective, Jordanna, would you say that you've learned the emotional side of things, or did it come quite naturally to you when you started to go into hairdressing?
I think I'm still absolutely learning. I think you can never have enough. You can never broaden your experiences enough, really. So I'm on a journey of still learning. However, coming from a background of, because I was policing before, I actually already had good communication skills with a wide variety of the community. So it wasn't just that I appealed to a certain type of people, but I was able to actually like bounce off someone's energy, or respond to someone's non-verbal communication and read their body language to think, okay, how do I adapt my approach to this? And so that adaptability I already had, but what I didn't have was the understanding as to why it's important and how I can change it. So I'm still learning that. And I think the more we can practice this, and the more we can open the conversation, you know, and the discussion to people in your salon or your colleagues, then I think we'll have a much more positive work environment. Because it can be really hard when you conflict or when you don't connect with that client and you're like, you know, you've done a beautiful haircut and she leaves. And we've all had it where you just think, something wasn't right there and I don't know what it is. Like, I don't think she's actually fully in love with me as a hairdresser. I want her to be.
Which you could take quite personally, couldn't you?
Yeah, of course. And it's emotionally draining because you give so much, don't you, during consultation? You give so much and it doesn't always come back to you. But that's because we don't always adapt ourselves to different types of clients. And we have to remember that if we're doing things naturally to us, then we're only really appealing to clients that are like us. What we have to do is try and bounce off some energy that isn't us. You know, for the really quiet and introvert, I would try and lower my tone. I would try to not speak so loud, and I would, you know, it's that kind of like really nice, you know, suggestive gesture of like even just the head tilt. That's like a sympathetic, like non-verbal communication of someone understanding that you can
listening to you.
Yeah. Sometimes even when clients are really anxious, there's one thing that I'll do, which is like just a really simple touch on the shoulder and be like, don't worry, I completely understand, even relate to them and identify the problem that they're having. Even if you haven't had this problem, is about saying to them, I am so fussy as well. I'm just like you and I can really relate to you, but don't worry. And it's the hand on the shoulder. It's just really tiny things that can really make your life so much easier, and even, to be honest, more profitable as a hairdresser as well, because it appeals to the masses. So the course has got a lot about that, but also scientific evidence as to why mindfulness can really help your life and working life. Because I think you'd agree with me here, Laura, that work is becoming so consuming. You know, we've got the internet, we've got every communication platform to check up on. We've now got TikTok. There's so many things and it's so hard to switch on.
Another platform to sort of tap into.
I know. What's next?
Before we went live, me and Jordanna were talking about her little pooch, actually. So should we maybe talk a bit about how you're caring for yourself at the moment and how you'll be adapting that to when lockdown ends as well? Because I think that's a good starting point, isn't it? Caring for yourself before you can kind of care for other people.
So during lockdown, obviously life looks a lot different. So I have had a lot more time to practice different things. But do you know what? They're really simple. I've just been taking a lot of daytime baths. I don't know why, but I'm obsessed with daytime baths because it just feels like so illegal to be able to do that. And like,
this is true,
so I love daytime baths. I'm just sitting in the bath relaxing for ages, and it's I've just been going out.
Do you do it until your fingers go all wrinkly? Or
yes. And I'm a sucker for aromatherapy associates because I love the smell and it smells like a spa. So I'm doing a lot of that, a lot of reading as well. And if I'm too lazy to read, I've been using audio books, so listening to them. So actually,
is there anything you've been listening to that you'd recommend to other people?
Yes, there's a really good podcast called How to Fail by Elizabeth, I think her name's Taylor, is it? And she has really interesting guests on the show, and it's all about, you know, how failure is actually a form of success in a way, because you have to fall down a lot of the time before you can come back up and learn the strength to actually pull yourself up. And it makes the success a lot more, what's the word?
Worthwhile, I guess. Yeah.
It makes it a lot worthwhile, and it gives it a lot more weight to it if you failed before, if that makes any sense. So really nice podcast called How to Fail. There's a couple of others called Live More, Live Well, Eat Better or something, and that's by a doctor who is a mindfulness advocate, and he has great guests on the show as well, talking about different types of happiness and what is the definition and can we categorize it in scientific terms. So really interesting. If that's not something that floats your boat, there's heaps of other podcasts out there on every single thing that you can imagine. So just about sort of keeping myself busy that way, connecting with friends and family on FaceTime or whatever it is, WhatsApp videos, and also colouring in. I've been doing these colouring sheets, and it takes me back to like that simplistic, like schoolgirl day. Do you know what I mean? Where it's kind of like anything that can make you focus on what I call it single tasking, because single tasking when you're focusing on one thing, which I think is really hard to do because we're sort of,
we're not programmed for that anymore, are we? We're sort of programmed to watch TV while we're on Instagram and, to be multitasking all the time.
And I think sometimes people feel like the more you can multitask, the more kudos you get.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So anything that you can do to single task and just only focus on one thing to heighten your awareness and to blur out any of the noise that comes in, through your thoughts or any pictures or anything that your mind is throwing at you, then I think you can really focus on one thing. It actually liberates you and it makes you feel like, I feel like I've just literally had 1 hour of being a kid and just like drawing.
And not feeling guilty about it, just allowing yourself to have that time.
Yes.
Enjoy it.
But I've got to stress, mindfulness and it's not about meditation. It's not linked to, it doesn't come packaged with any ritual or religious beliefs. It's literally about teaching yourself how to be a little bit more aware and how to listen to those thoughts, because obviously human beings are always going to have unpleasant thoughts, unpleasant feelings. You might feel like you're not worthy of something, or you failed at this, you're not good at that, whatever. But we're always going to have those thoughts. It's not about pushing them to the side. It's about tuning in and saying, okay, this is as if it's like a radio station, tuning into those thoughts and saying, right, this is a radio station that is throwing me lots of different thoughts, and they can be very negative. Now, if they are negative, but they're useful, and you can use them in a way to improve a skill, whatever it is, then fine. But if they're negative and they're really unhelpful and all they're doing is evoking stress and anxiety, it's about acknowledging that it is unhelpful, and I'm going to tune out of that, give it the time of day, give it an hour. Let's say you put a time limit on it and you tune out of that and you come back to your logistical mindset and you say, okay, that was then, that's not helpful. I'm going to let that emotion pass by. Because if you do that at work, you'll find that, when you react to something and you're quite emotional, I'm very Greek in that respect. I'm very dramatic, quite emotional. I really wear my heart on my sleeve. So using this technique has really helped me actually like take a step back before I say anything and just think, okay, this is not personal, because obviously in management and business, you always take everything personally. If a staff member is you, or some of the things that you encounter as a business owner. So it's about just taking a step back and just being like, okay, logistically, no. And it's about having two voices in your head, if that makes sense, and playing them off against each other, rather than trying to suppress those thoughts. Just accept that they're going to be there and just make sure that the other voice plays devil's advocate properly.
I love that idea of a positive radio station and a negative radio station. You sort of can tune them up and down.
Because I think also we're taught as kids, aren't we? If you've got a negative thought, just don't listen to it. Well, actually, it's really hard not to. So listen to it, but just move on.
Exactly. Fantastic. And we've actually got a question coming in here from Emma Knowles. She says that she's liking the fact that since lockdown, salons, big and small, mobile hairdressers, freelance stylists, have all come together and are talking to each other and helping people. She works on her own and she's quite lonely sometimes. Are there any forums for people that work alone to get the support like big salons do?
Oh, that's lovely. I'm glad that you found that support and community. There certainly is. There's How to Cut It community page, which is on Facebook and also Instagram, and they bring together anyone who's freelance or someone who's employed or self-employed, and it's a really nice platform to discuss, share some work, share free education. We've got a Monday show at 7:00 every Monday called The Hair Show. We started our first one yesterday, and it will be every Monday except for bank holidays because we need a break. It will be every Monday.
That's taking care of yourself, having that break.
And you know what? It really gets everyone's discussion. All we talk about is hair news, culture, what's going on at the moment, and we discuss anything that you guys want us to. So there's a little chat box at the bottom of the live, and if you tune in every Monday at 7, you'll be able to like discuss with other people. I think Instagram is an amazing tool as well to connect hair communities. There's Hair Socials, which I think is a hairdressing educational platform. There's HJ. There's so many. There's Fellowship. There's so many communities and platforms for people to collaborate with. And I'm seeing a lot more collaboration these days than I have ever before. So I'm really proud to be in the hairdressing industry, because we really are supporting each other. There's so much free education out there, and we're standing together. I know there's a few barbers or hairdressers who have had, for whatever reason, to make the decision that they're going to continue to operate. And it is sad that they've done that. But most of us, on the positive, most of us have stuck together, and we're feeling the sense of unity because we're all in the same boat and we're all feeling that financial burden. But there's some form of like relief knowing, okay, everyone else is in this together. So we'll come up with something amazing, and we will return with vengeance.
Definitely. And talking about returning, obviously we were talking about how you're caring for yourself during lockdown. Of the things you've been doing so far, what will you be able to translate back into salon life, do you think? I mean, obviously maybe colouring and having a bath in the middle of the day, maybe not so much.
Exactly. So be really careful when you're taking up new hobbies. When you're reading up on mindfulness, there's a lot out there that kind of tells you this is what you can do. This is a new hobby. You can buy this new yoga mat and get on this new course. But just be mindful that when you go back to work, we're not going to have time to do any of that. So just work on your understanding your mind. If your mind has a tendency to spiral out of control and anxiety for X, Y, and Z, understand why it does that. Try and take a step away and just use your mind to analyze itself. Have that, play devil's advocate with yourself, because you need to challenge yourself, because not everything that goes wrong. Not everything that goes on up here is gospel. Not everything that goes on up here is right. So challenge yourself, and don't always believe that what you're feeling is actually what is happening, if that makes any sense. So I would say the only thing you can really take away from lockdown as a hobby is tuning into your mind and just being aware of it.
Yeah, and not being afraid to do that one task at a time every so often, to be able to tune in with yourself.
When you are cutting and colouring with that client, literally, if you're not having a conversation with her, just listen to the music in the background. Be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of like even just every brush stroke, and just zone into it and just blur everything out, because it helps. It really does help, and you get less burnout. And there's a nice fact for you here. I've just got it here on my laptop.
We love a fact.
I love that. Okay. I'm a bit scientific in that respect. So if there's anything that I need to like learn, it always has to have like a good benefit for me. So this is it. Mental health issues are now the leading cause of sick leave in the UK, accounting for 70 million sick days, which is more than half of the total each year. And I think burnout is literally, burnout should be like an actual disease or an actual prognosis. Condition, because it's like it just accounts for so much, and we're all in different boats, so we all have different circumstances, so it's hard to like know who's actually burning out. Lots of people are hiding it, but we have, I mean, especially in the 21st century with everything going on and with internet and access to everything, we feel like we're bombarded with information like, oh, there's a new podcast, here's a new book, here's a new live, here's something I need to zone into. But actually, like, I think we need to be better at tuning into like what helps us, and single tasking. So like really being involved in something that's happening. I have quite a few people at work, and hopefully they're listening. My colleagues at work, some of my best friends actually.
Oh, let us know if you're tuning in.
And they say to me like all the time, Jordanna, you weren't listening to what I was saying to you. And my answer is, I know, but I can't always multitask, because if I, for example, even if I'm writing an email, someone's telling me their name and I'm jotting down their letter by letter, and someone's asking me for something, it honestly is blocked out, which is sometimes a bad thing, because you need to be aware of what's around. As a manager, if someone's like, the salon's on fire, you need to be able to hear that. But I'm now so like focused on like literally the one thing that I'm doing, because it really helps me when I get back home. it helps me be able to like switch off.
Yeah.
Because if you've always got like constant like surround sound and background noise, it's really hard to sleep, you know, with all the responsibility. And I haven't even got kids yet. So imagine what I'll be like when I have kids.
You've got a dog though, so you know, kind of halfway there.
But yeah, so hats off to all the business owners, freelancers, anyone out there, because it's hard. You're running your own business, thinking about marketing, profit margins, you know, ordering stock, getting new clients, and stuff like that. So it's a real responsibility, and hats off to every person that does it.
Definitely. And I think that's a great tip as well. When you go back to the sun, you've got all those million things going on in your head, but practice those mindful techniques so that you can focus on one thing at a time, so you can get things done and don't get too overwhelmed. And you tapped into burnout there. And obviously, I thought that might be a nice place for us to talk about the team and making sure that the team are okay in this sort of the weird space that we're in right now, and the support that they might well need when we go back to the salons. How are you showing that you care for your team during this time, and how are you going to adjust that for when salons reopen again?
So we have a WhatsApp group, and I'm sure many other salons do. So we just keep up to date on that, sharing some funny TikTok videos, having a couple of conference calls. But I'm also really aware of the people that really don't like to be, that don't naturally have that connection over Skype or phones, and they're not great at like responding. So I'm mindful of the fact that, you know, it's not for everyone to stay connected. So we've said, who wants to do a quiz next Thursday? Whoever wants to join is joining. But if people want to be left alone, that's absolutely fine too. And if I haven't heard from someone for 2 or 3 weeks, I'll send them a little voice note, keep it really short and snappy, and you know, they will let you know if they're okay. But it's important not to invade their personal space as well, because it can be, again, an arduous task. Like, it's a burden to some people doing a quiz. Some people find it really, really enjoyable, but some people don't. So it's about like kind of respecting the different personalities there. But I would say that the starting point for keeping your team positive, it seems like you're taking a backward step, but you're not, is to host some kind of staff meeting where you can actually discuss the different types of people out there. So there's heaps of information and worksheets online available about this, but it's about, you know, there's 4 different types of people. There's introvert, there's extrovert, and then there's lots of others. So it's about learning, okay, as a colleague or as a person, where do I sit in and what do I respond well to? If you needed to approach me for something, how would you best approach me? So it's about sort of everyone as a team sort of saying, oh, you're this type of person, you're this type of person. A really good book I've read is called The Zookeeper, and it's about every workplace is like a zoo, and every zoo has different animals. So the zoo operates really well when there's one of every animal. The zoo can be a little bit unbalanced when there's more chimpanzees than there are dolphins or whatever it is. And so it's about everyone kind of attaches themselves to an animal. I think I was a monkey, and there was loads of dolphins in our zoo at work, so we were understanding
in our zoo at work.
Dolphins are very like sensitive, so it's about approaching them with that kind of empathy and extra level of care, whereas a lion, it would be a lot more sort of alpha male, and you have to be quite strong with a lion, and you have to be quite, you know, firm and very direct. So adapting your approach with that. Once we understood each other, we were very much more not apologetic, but understanding and patient with the ways in which come naturally to them. It's not their fault that they're like that. It's just the fact that that's an incredible quality that they have, and it's a characteristic that will not change. Therefore, we just adapt to it. And it's about learning like how to manage conflict, because sometimes there is conflict, you know. Once a month there'll be something that happens in the salon, and everyone gets a bit stressed. It might be a Saturday, you know, everyone's running behind and there's no 6% left or whatever it is, and you know, emotions run high. So it's those times that these understandings and these simple exercises in a staff meeting, it might feel a bit silly at first, but it's during the stressful times that people go, I understand
that. And actually that would be even more important once salons return, because everyone's emotions are going to be heightened, and those personality traits might be coming out even more. So that's a great bit of homework that people could be doing now and starting to establish how they're going to handle their teams and their different personalities. We've got another great question here from Samantha. How do you deal with the member of staff who deals with a lot of mental health issues?
So I think the first thing is just communication, and there's a lot of people out there on some community pages that I've seen who've said, my boss isn't approachable. I think I would, I mean, there are people out there that aren't very approachable, but I would say that it's kind of up to you to make sure that you can open the lines of communication and say, I need to chat about this. If your boss chooses to come back with you and say, well, I don't want to talk about that, that's a different story. But 9 times out of 10, your boss is going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like,
Or I had no idea.
Yeah, like, let me help you.
Yeah.
So I think it's about communication. If a member of staff is suffering from mental health, and identifying with them, and it takes a while, but identifying with them, what is it that they think could help them? Is it a little bit of time off? Is it therapy? Is it doing exercises with the team to heighten awareness of the different personalities that we are? Is it the conflict management? Is it your client base? Let's discuss all the different avenues that we could take that could potentially benefit your mental state. Or is it that you just need to talk about it once a week, or you just need people to be aware of it? So it's about communicating with them and brainstorming together, sharing that burden, because sometimes when you're suffering from mental health, you feel like a burden to people. But if you were to phrase it in such a way that you say, look, now that you've told me, this is a problem halved, so we're sharing this, and it's just as much my duty as it is your duty to do something to make yourself feel more comfortable. So let's brainstorm, let's look at all these different avenues or ideas that we have to make your work life and personal life a little bit more positive. And it's baby steps, literally baby steps.
Do you have any suggestions for resources or services or websites that people could look at from a mental health point of view to help members of staff who may be struggling?
So I would say that there is heaps of books out there. There's lots of helplines. Again, Mental Health Awareness Week, there's so much online on Instagram about different helplines, because different helplines do serve different purposes. So there's, mental health is a minefield in itself. So there's heaps of different problems, and that's why there's loads of different helplines to counteract those. But also, I think, being aware, opening up conversation early, prevention is key. Prevention is not about stopping people from having mental health issues, but stopping them from feeling like they're, it gets to the end point and they're like, I've just had enough, I can't get to work. So it's preventing from getting that to that stage. So maybe even just opening the conversation and saying, do you want to go to a course? It could be a course outside of the hairdressing industry, or if you want to do it in the hairdressing industry, then we have things like the Wella course, the Mindful Hairdresser, that I'll be hosting along with some Wella educators as well. Or it is just, guys, let's start a little book club, and I've got a book that I'd love everyone to read, or sharing an Audible, sharing a quote a week. I think a lot of it lies on the business owner, unfortunately, or the manager. But I think that's a wonderful duty to have. It can be burdensome, but it depends how you look at it. It's a wonderful duty to have, because for once, we are not trying to make our team into robots. We are trying to actually improve their welfare. And with that responsibility comes so much like passion. And it's not necessarily just about figures and like looking at targets. I'm awful at that. I'm awful as a boss. But what I can do is I can motivate people, and I can inspire people to motivate others and help others build a bit more of a team and positive reinforcing. Because I'm more concerned about how happy I am, how the team are, than I am sometimes about, and this is all the time, but sometimes that I am about figures, because the two kind of do go hand in hand.
They do. If you want creativity to flourish, you kind of need to be in a good headspace, don't you?
Yeah,
so you need the two to work together.
We spend most of our time at work. Like, we've got to make it a place where we feel comfortable, a bit like a family. You know each other very well, and you can work together, and you're not scared of conflict. When it does happen, you know how to deal with it. So it's about fine-tuning those skills, really, isn't it?
Definitely. We've covered a lot of ground during this session, Jordanna.
I know, it's so fast.
Which is fantastic. I'm just going to quickly, we've got a couple of questions which aren't strictly related to our topic, but I'm just going to cover them anyway. So Jacqueline has said, oh, this is a lovely compliment for you. What colours do you have in your hair at the moment, please? I love the dark and the blonde. And is this a pink toner?
Yes, it is. It's actually shaded as well. So normally it's a lot brighter, but if you go on my Instagram page at Jordanna Cobella, I've uploaded a video a couple of posts back now, so I think it should be the third one back, and it's I use Wella Colour Touch, which is 10/6 and 55/65, and it's just a toner, and underneath here is a balayage, and this is my natural colour. So it's just a toner that I use every couple of weeks to keep the pink fresh, but it's faded a little bit now. Thank you, though.
Perfect. And then Herman has said, do you recommend physical distancing or social distancing to the team?
Do you mean in terms of when we come back, social distancing?
I'm assuming so. Herman, if you want to clarify, that would be amazing. But yeah, it's not very specific. I'm guessing Herman's talking about when we all go back, I guess.
Yeah, so I think go back, it's going to be really hard for everyone.
Yeah.
So us hairdressers, we're all over each other. I mean, as girls, we're always touching each other, you know,
hugs and kisses and
and
yeah.
So it's going to be really hard because a lot of people really that's how you connect, isn't it?
Yeah.
Contact. So it's going to be a different way of working, but I think we will adapt to it. And because we've been so desperate to go back to work, I think that the atmosphere is going to be good.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Yeah. It's going to be good because I think people are going to be so grateful that to go back to a place of work, have that purpose every day, have a nice routine, and get back into interaction, albeit very strange interaction.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to be something that we adapt well to. Obviously, for my team, it means that we can't always be in at once. So that's a real shame because we have such a nice energy and buzz at work when we are in together. But we're just going to have to spread ourselves out a little bit thinly so that we can actually manage the salon with that 2-meter rule. Don't know how it's going to work, but we're going to give it our best shot.
Definitely. And even just seeing people, even if you can't give them a great big hug, just being able to see those familiar faces again will be amazing, won't it?
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I'm nervous as well. So part of me is thinking, how is this going to work? But
and I think, do you know what, Jordanna? I think everyone's feeling the same because we were saying before our conversation started this morning how it's not going back like for like, it's going back in a different format.
Yeah,
the changes that have to be made. So I think it's great to embrace the fact you're feeling nervous.
Yeah. Do you know what has been lovely is that we are now I feel like all hairdressers now have this new level of appreciation and gratitude from like their clients, and their clients have started to realize, you know, gosh, I didn't know how much emphasis my mental health like had on my hair and how my looks are. And that's not vain. That's just them saying that that's something for them that makes them feel better and feel more like themselves and presentable. And it gives them that authority at work, even if it is on a Zoom call. You know, maybe people aren't struggling with confidence, so that really helps them with confidence and delivery of whatever. So it's really nice to hear all that. Not that they're suffering.
No, but
it's nice to hear that, you know, we really do make a difference, and sometimes you don't know what you got till it's gone. You know, that famous
true.
Like
that is very true.
How well respected and missed we are, which is
and they're also missing you as people as well, not just having the amazing hair, but just that connection with the hairdresser.
Yeah, and another thing is, you know, we as hairdressers are so good at therapy that we don't even know we do it.
No.
And the psychology of everything. And, you know, there's a lot of people that say hairdressers have a high job satisfaction. And I believe it's not because we make people look good necessarily. I think it's because we make people feel good. Yeah. Whether we do that with our hands or whether we do that with our chat and our mind, it is irrelevant. What we do is we make them feel good. And you'll never forget how someone makes you feel, but you might forget how someone makes you look after a couple of months. You'll be like, oh, that felt great. You know, I looked really good then. But you'll never forget how someone made you actually feel. You
Definitely.
know? I think psychologically, if we're giving all that out every day, 10 times a day, we've got to learn how to do it in such a way that it doesn't affect our own mental health. So the course is all about looking after number one, because if you can't, then obviously you can't give that 100% to each client. And giving that 100% to each client without looking after yourself results in burnout. So that's the whole reason why this course was born.
Which sounds fantastic, I have to say. And actually, we've got a new article on our website as part of HJ Wella Professionals Time to Care Week, is Are you a hairdresser and an unofficial therapist? So it's definitely worth checking out. So yeah, no, definitely. We've got an expert counsellor sharing insights with us for that. I'm going to cover one, we're already out of time, but I'm just going to cover the last question. From Laura Ward, do you think business coaching for hairdressers will become more popular after this? I'm an ex-salon owner of 12 years and it was very lonely sometimes. I would love to train to do this myself, as I really believe it would help people.
I do, and I see a big shift in salon owners, independent small business owners who are speaking out and sharing things. And long gone were the days where you look at your competitor around the corner and be like, I can't speak to them. No, now we're at events and we're sharing what works for you. How do you do that? How do you get new assistants? What problems have you encountered? Oh my God, too. And it's about sharing it, because it's quite lonely at the top, believe it or not. I know there's a lot of people who are watching thinking, well, no, being at the top is the best. No, it's not. When you're a leader, it can be so lonely because you're leading so many others and you're not being led.
So no, yeah, and they're all in the same boat because they're all in the group and being led by you. So yeah,
exactly. So sometimes you second guess, like, am I doing the right thing? You've got no leadership. You're leading yourself and your team.
Yeah,
it can be really lonely. But what I love is the collaboration that's starting to happen. And I feel, I had a chat with Errol about this, Errol Douglas. I said to him, how amazing would it be if we created a hub called like the Salon Business Hub or Salon Owner Hub, where every year we go away for 2 days, we go somewhere in the country, and we have a back-to-back timetable of like covering all the different aspects of running a business and sharing what works for us, because there's room for everyone to get to the top and be successful. There's room for every business to expand, and I think if we can do that and share, then the hairdressing industry will just go from strength to strength to strength. And of course, it all relates back to, are we feeding ourselves what we're worth, and should we be increasing those profit margins, and if so, how? And I think when we work together, something really special happens. Collaboration makes things stronger, and you come up with ideas. 2 heads are always better than one. You come up with ideas that have never really been thought of before. So I think collaboration is going to be the next big thing. And I think you will see like business retreats and business, whatever you call them, happening, where you can share that. And I think
we're all excited for something like that, aren't we?
Yeah. And if it is lonely at the top, maybe you could start one yourself.
Definitely. I think that's a great idea. I'm going to finish off with one last question, which is a great one. We've been talking a bit about the mindfulness course that you'll be doing with Wella Professionals. Yes. Will this course just be for Wella salons, or can anyone get involved with the mindfulness course?
Anyone can get involved, because Wella Professionals, we're a big community, and we understand that there's more freelancer hairdressers out there actually than they are employed hairdressers now. So we're changing with the times. This is not exclusively for Wella at all. This is for anyone who is willing to take part.
Fantastic. Well, this has been a great session. I'm just going to read out a few comments that we've had. So Demetria said, fab advice, Jordanna. Emma said, thank you, that's so helpful. Leanne Reagan said, Jordanna, you're brilliant. Lorraine Hume said, really enjoyed this, ladies. Thanks so much. Shelley Christie, thank you. Really enjoyed this morning's chat. Amanda has said, my clients have said they've missed us more than actually having their hair cut, which I'm sure is true for a lot of people. Fantastic. So there's been a lot of love in the room. We're getting lots of thank yous as well. But we've covered a lot of ground this morning, Jordanna. And I can only say a huge thank you to you. It's HJ Wella Professionals Time to Care Week this week, where we're sharing lots of uplifting, positive content, helpful content, including how to deal with being an unofficial therapist in the salon. We've also got a Spotify playlist by the likes of yourself that people will be able to tune into, hear the sort of music you like to listen to. And also the mindfulness course that you've been talking about this morning, you can find out more information about that on education.wella.com. So definitely check that out. And from the snippets that Jordanna shared this morning, it sounds like it's going to be extremely worthwhile for now and post-lockdown. Did you have any final words to say there, Jordanna?
Yes, I just want to say thank you to everyone who has been so positive and uplifting on all platforms or social media. I think the hair industry responds so well to change. And yes, we do have a great place in society, but you guys make sure you take care of yourself, because this is your time. You know, it's very rare that we get this time and we'll ever get it back. So take care of yourselves, try and switch off as much as you can. And thank you so much for providing so much support for fellow hairdressers.
Fantastic. And I think a few tips you can take away from it is a daytime bath that you can do right now. So your fingers go wrinkly. Yeah, single tasking, doing the colouring in, and really tuning into yourself. I think that was all great advice, and making sure you care for yourself so you can indeed care for your clients and your team as well.
Exactly.
It's fantastic. Thanks so much, Jordanna, and thanks so much to everyone for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed it.
Take care. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.